everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 24 of the Big at the Back podcast. It's been a few weeks, but we're back. My name's Tom. I'm joined by Matt. Matt, how are you?
Not too bad. The sun is out finally. It feels like it's been raining non-stop for about a month. But I'm aching today because I got roped into playing football yesterday, which I hate doing at the best of times, let alone when we're playing a team that are much younger, fitter, better on a really big pitch. Let's just say I now know how it feels to play for Sheffield United.
We can get to them in a little bit because Sheffield United and Burnley, just the complete whipping boys of the season.
How's your weekend, Tom? How was it for you?
Just quiet. Buggering off to Lisbon next week for basically 4 or 5 days. So I'm just having a couple of quiet weekends in preparation for that, and also hoping to save a bit of money so before I splash it all out on $4 Portuguese wine.
Sounds really boring. You should just go out always every night until then as well, because then you're just preparing yourself for it.
I'd rather go in completely cold and then just have the alcohol make such a massive impact on me that I don't need to buy 200 bottles.
I can imagine you on night one after half a bottle of local plonk.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, can we get back to the hotel, please? So, fantasy football. It's been a while. Catch me up. How are you doing? What's your game week looking like? As a reminder, we have one game left for this game week, which is Arsenal against Sheffield United, happening this evening. It's Monday morning as we're recording. So what's your game week score so far? And talk us through your team and what it's looking like.
So currently on 54 points, which is a bit above average. Average currently sat at 45, but currently also still on a red arrow. Just like last week where I had an above average amount of points and still managed to get a red arrow, which is very frustrating. 3 players left to play though, and they are Saka, Gabriel, and David Raya. And of course, like many people, I do have Areola on my bench. So, I mean, if Raya could pick up an injury in the warm-up tonight, that would be fantastic. Other than that, it's fits and starts really from my team. Reguilon with an assist. He also hit the post in that game, which would have been nice if that went in. Newcastle finally keep a clean sheet and Trippier goes off after 51 minutes.
I also have Trippier, so yeah.
Yeah, 1 point there. The midfield, De Bruyne with 2, Palmer with 5, and of course Foden with 15 with his big performance in the Manchester derby. Up front, Tony with 2, Haaland captain with 12, and Ollie Watkins with 13. Again, proving that Tom is an idiot for not having in his team. So yeah, 54 points, 3 to play. I think in a relatively good position, really hoping for an Arsenal clean sheet tonight. So we'll see how that goes. You'd like to think so with the way they've been playing recently, but how's your week been?
Yeah, so I wildcarded last week on the basis of I only had Saka. I wanted to take advantage of Arsenal, Sheffield United. I'm always planning to free hits in 29 anyway, so it just made sense to do it now rather than wait. And also preps me for 28, etc. as well. So Kelleher with 9 points is not quite Areola, but you've got to say maximum bonus points for the goalkeeper that only made 2 saves. You'll take it all day. Trippier with 1 point is really, really annoying for a Newcastle clean sheet, but it was the right idea. It was just very unlucky. Lasted 52 minutes when another 8 minutes he would have been able to get the clean sheet points. So it is what it is. I've got Gabriel and White as 2 defenders left to play. So like you, doubled up on Arsenal at the back, so hoping for a clean sheet tonight. Thank God I listened to you because I wasn't initially going to have Foden. And you said, no, he's essential. You need to get him in. So I did, and he's rewarded that with 15 points.
You're welcome.
Palmer with 5, Son with 7 because Salah was injured for this game. So I just switched it over to Son with the money in the bank to upgrade. And Bowen with 5. Then up top, I've got Solanke and Haaland. And frustratingly, the first on my bench is Muniz with 11 points, which is really, really irritating because I was so close to playing him as well over Cole Palmer. But I just didn't in the end. That being said, most of my players have returns, so can't really complain. As I'm planning on free hitting in 29, it means that I've got 1 free transfer that I need to use this week or I'll lose it. So I've actually, from a wildcard draft of 15 players, I've managed to pick up 3 injuries, which is very, very frustrating. So Sensei for Bournemouth was on my bench with 1 point, and Bell for Luton was on my bench with 1 point. Both of which have a double game week in 28. So I think I need to move one of them sideways, probably Sensei, so I'm trebled up in Bournemouth. Because on my bench as well, in goal, I've also got Neto with 8 points. So looking forward to the upcoming double and upcoming blank in 28 and 29, respectively. Now, we've spoken a lot about them on this podcast before. What's your plans? Because you haven't wildcarded yet. You've got all of your shits in play, aside from triple captain. What's your plan at the moment in FPL?
I was sort of debating this last night, and I'm sort of torn really at the moment because, like you, I'm going to free hit in 29 with just the 4 fixtures. I've still got the wild card in the bank, and what it comes down to for me was initially one of my transfers this week was going to be to bring Salah in for KDB, and I'm kind of like, is there enough to warrant making that switch this week when I'm free hitting the week after, and then I can potentially maybe look to wildcard around 30, 31, at which point Liverpool have Sheffield United at home in 31, so you can come in for that, and then they've got the run. I mean, in 30, I want him back in as well, to be fair. Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home, Man U away, Palace at home, Fulham away. But even then, I don't need to wildcard at that point because I can take KDB out, move someone like Trippier down, who's probably going to be coming out this week anyway. So my transfers this week, I was kind of thinking, I want him gone. I've had enough of him. So I was thinking this week, I've got to get Solanke in. So he's in for Tony for me. And then I can take Trippier down to a 4.5 mil defender. That leaves me the money in the bank to play with when I want to go KDB to Salah in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm really torn. I'm kind of just floating around at the moment, and I'll get to a point where I go, like, actually, now's when I want a wild card. Maybe I can hold on to it before those doubles in 34 and 37 and just see where I'm holding there. So like maybe wild card in 33 to set up for a big double in 34.
Yeah, I think those from game week 30 onwards, those Liverpool fixtures look really, really good. So Brighton at home, they're scoring. Sheffield United at home, they're scoring. Man U away, they're scoring. Crystal Palace at home, they're scoring. Fulham away, they're scoring. I think you want to be invested in Liverpool from 30 onwards. So I think as a wild card, it would really make sense to go then and to really go into Liverpool. You could look at Trent then as well, potentially. I'm surprised you're looking at taking Trippier up because following the blank in 29, and this is why I've got him as well. So I'm not that bothered that he's missing the Chelsea game, as he'd probably be on my bench for it anyway. But following the blank, it's West Ham and Everton both at home, then Fulham away. I would probably want Trippier for those 3. I think you need to be moving KDB out. I wouldn't go to Salah though. I think this week, I think there's value in perhaps going to a Son or a Bowen this week. Spurs with Aston Villa away, who play a high line, and West Ham with Burnley at home, who are terrible. There's a potential huge upside there. It's just whether you want to take the hit or not.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one. Obviously, Bowen's found that bit of form that he'd been missing for sort of the previous 6 weeks or so, with a hat-trick and then a return against Everton as well. There's plenty of options out there. And like you say, Son's not the worst shout in the world as well, but I really am torn at the moment. I've got to get Solanke, and that's one that's got to happen this week. There's no doubt about that. It's just what I do elsewhere. And obviously, Trippier coming off of that injury, we don't know the extent of that at the moment. So we'll be holding on until sort of later in the week and we get those press conferences. The other thing we've got to take into account is European football as well. So that's going to throw spanners in the works with West Ham back in Europe, Brighton back in Europe, Liverpool back in Europe. So we'll see.
Liverpool are playing their kids. Like the next Premier League game is Man City. They're playing their kids in Europe.
All you've got left is your kids. Yeah. No, to be fair, it was good to see. I'm sure you'll be delighted to see Szoboszlai was back on the bench at the weekend.
So he played. He came on for the last 20 minutes.
There you go.
So delighted to see Szoboszlai back. Szoboszlai and McAllister there means we actually, and hopefully Endo was back. Endo was back on the bench as well. So we have a competent, good midfield 3. I'd rather see Jones there than Endo, but against Man City, actually, Endo might make more sense.
Yeah, I think that's more likely.
Speaking of Man City, I know we both watched the Manchester derby yesterday. I think we've got to dissect it a little bit. Fantastic goal from Rashford, but apart from that, who's the worst player on the pitch?
I think.
Rashford at all?
Yeah, no, you can't, can you? You can't really look at any United players at the moment. I mean, I've got Garnacho because he's dirt cheap and he's just sitting there on my bench for the most part. And if I think, oh, you know what, he might get something this week, I'll bring him in. But other than that, who could you really? I mean, Bruno's too expensive and not getting consistent returns. Rashford's doing nothing. Højlund would you look at if he wasn't injured because he went on that run before he picked up that knock. So yeah, it's a really difficult one to go anywhere near United at the moment. And Everton at home this weekend is a big game for them. They've got to bounce back.
Yeah.
Then they blank, so maybe Højlund will be back by the time game week 30 rolls around.
I was just looking from game week 30. They have really tough fixtures. Brentford away, not easy. Chelsea
I
away.
don't know, Brentford, man. Brentford at the moment, I don't think you could say they're a tough fixture anymore.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Brentford away, possibly an easier game, but then it's Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, Bournemouth away, travelling from Manchester to Bournemouth, not an easy game. Then it's Newcastle at home. So I think they've got a. It's not the easiest of runs for Manchester United. So I think as far as top four goes, there's no chance in hell. I wouldn't hate. I just caught myself then. Of course, I'd hate it. I was about to suggest.
Come on, you got to tell it now.
Perhaps going cheap into the Man U defence with a Lindelof or a Maguire. But then I don't like it. The more I think about it, the more I really don't like it. Onana, I still think is an okay shout. But
get save points.
Yeah, he'll get lots of save points and also Man U restrict opposition very well to putting the ball in from out wide. Against City, they really struggle to do it, but in most scenarios, they really restrict opposition to playing the ball in via a cross, and which their defenders, particularly Varane and Maguire, are very, very good at handling crosses. Their midfield really tightens, so it forces teams out wide. So I think that's a really decent defensive structure. The problem is they try and break and then get broken on themselves. So that's the main flaw in how they play. But I think defensively, I don't think they're too bad.
Yeah, I just don't think you can put any real stock in them in any way, shape, or form. Onana's the only one, like you say, that people might have in, but I think there's better options, especially with wildcard season being here. I think people will be looking elsewhere. With Alisson out injured, Kelleher seems a no-brainer if you're wildcarding at this point because he's so cheap. People will still be looking at Areola. He's had a couple of really good games recently. I mean, the Dubravka experiment's kind of failed a bit with Newcastle.
Yeah, that's definitely also hard fixtures for West Ham. I know they play in 29, but it's that from 30, it's Newcastle away, Tottenham at home, Wolves away, which is an away game. It's not going to be easy. Fulham at home, fair enough. Crystal Palace away, fair enough. Then Liverpool at home. I wouldn't be going to Areola. I think Kelleher's a no-brainer. And I also think, I told you I'd have him in my team for like the fourth season in a row. Neto is back between the six in goal for me.
Yeah, it was always going to happen. I mean, and it makes sense with this double that they've got this week. Two poor teams, one poor team and one average-ish team in Luton, who do seem to make things happen. They score goals
against each other. Sheffield United beat Luton.
Yeah, true, but I think that was very much the outlier in their recent results.
I think Luton play to the level of their opposition. They're very good at reducing everyone down to their level.
Yeah, and Luton have got a lot more to play for. I mean, at this point, I think it's safe to say Sheffield United and Burnley are down.
Yeah.
Luton are 4 points.
It depends on whether Everton and Forest get hit with more points deductions, because Forest, very good chance.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what's happened with the Everton situation now and the reduction to 6 points, I think what you're basically saying is the standard now is set at 6 points, and aggregating and mitigating factors will take it up or down from there. So I think if you work on the assumption that Forest lose 6 points, they're then 5 points ahead of Burnley and Sheffield United, which isn't impossible, but they're going to have to really turn things around. You just think on the pitch, Forest are a better side. And can Everton get another points deduction? It's very possible that that can still happen. So there's a lot to play for. We could even be in a situation where, come the final whistle on the last day of the season, relegation hasn't actually been decided, because by the time the announcement comes out, which is meant to be within the next sort of 10 days, I think, regarding Forest's decision, then there's going to be an appeals process. And how long's that going to take? We don't know, because how long did it take with Everton? So it could be like after the season finishes, teams still don't know where they're going to play next season.
Yeah, which is kind of ridiculous. Surely it's going to take a bit longer than the Everton one, or a bit shorter, sorry, than the Everton one. Surely now they've got a process in place.
You'd hope so, but it is the Premier League, so
who knows? Manchester City. Now, you convinced me to bring Foden in, and honestly, it was only after some last-minute tinkering bringing Salah out that I did bring Foden in. So it's 15 points for me this week. I've got to say, like, it's partly down to decision making, but I'm not going to pretend it's the most intellectual decision making in the world. So I'll take
it was taken out of your hands.
Yeah. That being said, tough fixtures following game. Well, for the next 3 games or 4 game weeks for Man City: Liverpool away, blank; Arsenal at home; Aston Villa at home. You're tripled up on City, including Kevin De Bruyne, who I thought looked hapless in the Manchester derby. What's your thoughts on KDB? And if you've got him, are you looking at moving him on?
Yeah, it was a strange one from him on Sunday, wasn't it? He was definitely far below the standards that he set for himself. Maybe it's a bit of a fitness issue, still sort of coming back from injury, having played in midweek and then playing again on Sunday. Who knows? I can't see a world in where he's benched again for the Liverpool game, because it is such a big game, and likewise for the Arsenal game. Having that blank in the middle kind of helps them out. But obviously they'll be playing in the FA Cup. Do they rest him for that? Because they're playing Man United in the FA Cup. So yeah, it could be that maybe Alvarez comes in for that one, because he is a key player for them. There's no doubt about it. And when he does play to his full potential, he pulls the strings, he makes things happen. As we saw, I know lesser quality of opposition, but against Luton with 4 assists in the FA Cup. So I don't know. It's a hard one. If Salah had a better fixture this week, it would be a no-brainer to go to Salah. But where they're playing each other, it feels like much of a muchness. So I think it's probably, unless you want to go for a big downgrade, like you said, with like a Bowen or a Son or something like that, it's probably worth holding on to him at the moment, because if you're going to be free hitting anyway, might as well.
Christian Norgard.
Yes.
Norgard versus Arsenal. Can't see that going wrong at all.
Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic decision.
Let's also chat about the game week right in front of us. Game week 28. Now, Liverpool and City play each other at Anfield, but the team that we want to be invested, teams that double, first and foremost, are Bournemouth with Sheffield United at home, Luton at home, and Luton with Palace away, Bournemouth away. Now, from my wildcard, I'm trebled up on Bournemouth. So I've got Solanke up front, who's going to be my captain this year. Oh yeah. Solanke's going to be my captain this game week. I've got Neto in goal, and I've got Sensei at the back, who I'm likely going to move sideways. How invested in Bournemouth are you?
At the moment, 0. But so, obviously,
would it be worth looking at a wild card now?
Nah.
No?
I don't. Bournemouth don't do it. They don't do it enough for me to warrant tripling up. I will be happy going into this game week with just Solanke from a Bournemouth perspective. Burnley created quite a lot of chances yesterday. They were lucky to keep a clean sheet against one of the worst sides in the league. So I'm happy that Sheffield United and Luton will both make chances against them, and I can see maybe they'll keep one clean sheet out of the 2 against Sheffield United. I can't see them keeping a clean sheet against Luton, because Luton make things happen, as we saw this week against Villa. So I'm happy to go in with just Solanke. The only other person that I would be slightly tempted by, if there weren't so much competition in the area, is Justin Kluivert, because I think he looks good as well.
He looks really good, but the problem is you're not giving up a midfield spot.
Exactly.
You've got Foden, you've got Palmer, Saka, Salah, back, Son, you've got Maddison, you've got Gordon, you've got Bowen. There's so many great options in those midfield slots. You could have an Arsenal guy outside of Saka. You could have Martinelli or Odegaard. You could have Luis Diaz. There's just so many options there. I don't think it's even worth considering looking at Bournemouth midfielders, even though they've got a double.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one as well, potentially, because again, like defenders, maybe I could go Dawson to one, but I'd rather go Neto.
The only team that look even remotely good defensively are Arsenal, so I'm doubled up on them. So outside of that, my defense is completely up for whatever. So I think defensively, you can definitely go there.
Yeah, I mean, defensively at the moment, other than like you say, Arsenal, you're only looking at what potential attacking returns from your defenders. So it's wing backs
Yeah,
and maybe the odd lump of a centre half. Like I've got Craig Dawson.
love a Craig Dawson in my team. Potentially. Looking at other teams then, because Arsenal obviously have the great fixture today, but they've also got a nice fixture in Brentford. Then they blank, and then they play City afterwards. So what's your perspective on Arsenal assets at the moment?
I think you're just holding them, aren't you? There's no need to change anything. There's no need to be any, like try and do anything too clever. I mean, this is at the core of FPL. You load up on the best teams that you can afford to, and at some point they're going to play each other. So you just have to ride those weeks out. If you want to bench someone, bench them because someone else has got a better fixture. But like they come back with that after that at Luton at home, so you're not going to want to take anyone out because you're going to want them straight back in the next week.
Yeah, I completely agree. My bench that week will probably just be 3 Arsenal players. So
I mean, yeah, I'd keep Saka in 100% because City give away chances.
yeah,
Like they don't keep many clean sheets.
actually, maybe Gabriel stays in as well because Arsenal got on set pieces.
Set pieces, yeah. I mean, I'll probably bench Raya potentially and start Areola, but
yeah. Either way, Arsenal aren't going anywhere. Now, Aston Villa, they obviously play in game week 29. Everyone apart from me has Watkins. I didn't bring him back on wildcard. I took him out for Alvarez on the double game week, thinking I was chasing some upside. Alvarez only played one of the 2 games, didn't return. Oh, no, he did. He returns an assist. And Watkins has decided to score at least 2 goals in every game since then. He's Cole Palmered me.
he has big side. Last 5, 18, 2, 13, 9, 13.
I moved him out when he got 18.
You love to see it.
He's completely Cole Palmered me. And I feel like at this point, because I'm going to free hit, so I'm going to have him in game week 29. And then after that, they've got Wolves in game week 30, which I'm going to be hiding behind the sofa for. Then it's City away. And then 2 games after that, it's Arsenal away. Every other game looks very difficult. And if you're spending 9 million on a forward, I'm thinking my budget's probably better spent elsewhere. So I'm going to be hiding behind the sofa. Well, I'm going to be hiding behind the sofa, but I think I'm going to be avoiding Watkins for the rest of the season based on fixtures.
He's one for me that he's going to stay in probably at least until our wild card, and even then he might stay in. It just depends on how things are shaping up because, again, European football back for Villa. I know it's only the Conference League, but
they're going to be tired. I think Emery hasn't really rotated his squad at all. The wheels are coming off. It's just a case of when. So I'm
going to have to clip that and get that out at the end of the season when they finish 3rd.
I mean, if they get top 4 over Spurs and Man U, then oh no, what a shame. Guess I was wrong.
They finish top 4 and win the Conference League.
Yeah, goodness me. So yeah, basically. Should we have a word on Chelsea? Because I feel like this is a fun podcast. We need to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to say after obviously the Carabao Cup final and then the FA Cup where they just about scraped past Leeds and then they've drawn against Brentford. But I do think in general their performances have been a little bit better. Nicholas Jackson is an anomaly amongst footballers in that he took it round the keeper and scuffed his finish so badly that it got cleared off the line. And then about 10 minutes later scored a bullet header into the bottom corner. Palmer is still just sort of ticking over, picking up returns. Conor Gallagher's been their best player in recent times, and he's the one that they're looking to sell because they need to raise money somehow for profit and sustainability and financial fair play. So I just don't even know about what are Chelsea anymore.
I think it's really, really funny. And as soon as Gary Neville said £1 billion bottle jobs, that was it. That's Poch fired. Like that's gonna follow the Poch around. And actually the same can be said for Man U, who have spent just as much, if not more, over the last 5 years or so without selling. So, but that £1 billion bottle job remarks has, I think, put the nail in Poch's coffin and will follow him around till he gets fired. So I think Chelsea are a walking, talking dead team at the moment. Don't want to go there in FPL aside from Palmer. Also, can we appreciate we're in a weekend where we got goals from Jackson, Werner, and Darwin. What kind of weird, twisted reality are we living in right now?
Yeah, we are in a bit of an alternate reality.
Haaland's expected goals is being underperformed more than Darwin's this year. Someone explain what's going on.
It definitely helped that Haaland's missed chance yesterday was 0.99 XG.
No, it's 0.87.
How can that be 0.87?
I don't know. It was quite high, so we had to jump for it, I guess.
Fucking no chance. That should be as close to 1 XG as you can physically get. I guess the thing with Darwin is, and the reason he's not underperforming his XG as much is he shoots a lot from distance, and if they go in, it's a low XG and it returns. Haaland doesn't really shoot from distance much. Most of his chances are within the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
So that can easily explain that difference in XG.
The thing with Darwin is he's the second coming of Brazilian Ronaldo, except he's better because he's the greatest player of all time that's ever played a football game ever.
Yeah, definitely. Although, I mean, Paul Tierney gifted you 3 points on Saturday, so
yeah, I know what you're doing. So fish,
he shouldn't. He gave the ball back to the wrong person.
That's incorrect. Look at the rules of the game. That's just factually incorrect.
It's not. When he blew the whistle, Callum Hudson-Odoi had possession, so he shouldn't have given the ball back to Kelleher.
For Liverpool because Konate got kicked in the face.
No, he didn't. Kelleher collided with him. It was a Kelleher and Konate collision.
Hold on. No, there was actually a thing that came out. Let me find it.
LFC.com.
No. So drops ball. The ball is dropped for the defending team goalkeeper in their penalty area when play was stopped, the ball was in the penalty area or the last touch of the ball was in the penalty area, which it was.
No, it wasn't, because the referee blew the whistle when Hudson-Odoi had possession of the ball. He only blew the whistle once Hudson-Odoi had possession of the ball. That's why it should have gone back to him. If he blew before it got to Hudson-Odoi, yes, it goes to the defensive goalkeeper, 100%. But the whistle went when Hudson-Odoi picked up the ball.
I don't think so. That's the thing. I don't think it did before. It went before Hudson-Odoi touched it. Then Hudson-Odoi touched it as the whistle was being blown.
Nope.
It's a fine line, but I think, and also, if we're going to go there, the same thing happened in reverse in the first half that cost Liverpool a goal.
Cost you a goal?
Yeah.
When?
Cost us a scoring opportunity. Oh, the ball wasn't in the net, but it cost us a scoring opportunity. Sorry, not a goal.
2 runs don't make a right. It was the wrong decision. It led to you scoring a goal. And it led to you getting 3 points. You can go on about Paul Tierney being anti-Liverpool all you want, but you can't then admit when you're wrong.
Both teams should have had a penalty in this game, honestly, because I think the new guy, Dan's got basically rugby tackled to the ground in the penalty area. And in that same incident you were talking about with the drop ball, I think Joe Gomez should have been called up for shirt pull and given away a penalty in the area as well. So I think Tierney was terrible for the whole game, but it was terrible for both teams, really.
So you're telling me he's not biased against Liverpool?
We're not going to go there. I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. Let's move on from that and just accept Darwin is the greatest player ever, because we could go back and forth all day.
All right, then. Darwin is the best. Get him into your team instead of Ollie Watkins.
You know what? I think Darwin to Solanke is definite, or Solanke to Darwin is definitely happening in game week 30, because I'll be bringing in Salah for Son, and I'll be hopefully able to also bring in Darwin for Solanke. That seems really fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, like you say, with that run of fixtures, it does seem like the best time to get your Liverpool attackers in, and Salah and Darwin are obviously the two outstanding choices.
Actually, Solanke has Everton at home, Palace at home, Luton away. Maybe not.
Yeah, but I mean, the way you've got to weigh it up is who gets more points in those fixtures.
Yeah, but I would have to do it on a -4 as well, so I'd probably hold Solanke. And also, Muniz has Sheffield United away and Nottingham Forest away, so probably be starting him as well.
Yeah, true. I mean, Fulham obviously put together 2 really good results in the last 2 weeks. Muniz seems to give them that physical presence that they've been lacking since Mitrovic has left.
Son of Malcolm in the Middle star, Muniz.
Yes, that is exactly who we're talking about. Frankie Muniz.
What a guy. Brilliant. I know we've kind of rambled on and been a bit all over the place, but what other games are worth talking about? I guess the West Ham game we can touch on, because good win away for you guys. 3-1 What was your analysis of this? Because I didn't actually watch this game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Areola was the standout performance, really. Saving the penalty in the first instance. He made a very good save from Dwight McNeil as well. Another one from Beto that took a big deflection and he tipped around the post. So it's easy to see, even despite conceding a goal, why he got the 3 bonus points. But in general, it's a tough place for West Ham to travel to. We don't have a very good record at Goodison Park. And although Everton haven't won many recently, before that they'd only lost one of their last 6. So they don't tend to concede many, but they also obviously don't score many. So, I mean, it all came down to, at the end, was a fantastic goal from Thomas Souček in the last seconds of the game. Obviously, ended up 3-1 because of a last-minute counter-attack as well. But Paqueta being back for West Ham is a massive difference, and it is the difference between us being a half-decent side and a bang-average side. He makes everyone else around him better. Now you've got him, Kudus and Bowen firing. Those 3 working together are a sight for sore eyes.
That was also partially why I brought in Bowen on my wildcard as well. The fact that Paqueta was back means that I think Bowen is a real option again. And he only got an assist in this game, which is a bit annoying. But the next game's Burnley at home. So you'd expect a team like Burnley that try and keep possession without actually being able to keep possession. You'd expect Jared Bowen to have quite a bit of fun in that game. So he's actually got my vice captain for next week, Jared Bowen, at the moment.
I mean, not that it matters because Solanke's going to be your captain and he's going to play. So
it is the moral victory.
Yeah.
Although last week someone had vice captain Bowen and triple captain Salah, and that was the top point scorer last week. What a guy!
Yeah, that is disgusting, isn't it?
Awesome.
Here's a little stat for you as well, just off the back of that Bowen hat trick.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind how long we've been at that stadium now, he is the first West Ham player to score a hat trick at the London Stadium.
I guess there's no other West Ham players that you could say are goal scorers realistically over the last 10 years. Like you rely on Antonio. He's never a hat trick, is he?
Not at home. He did score 4 against Norwich away in the COVID season.
What a season that was. God, everyone scores a lot against Norwich, don't they? Bring them back. Bring them back into the Prem.
I saw Suarez scored 2 in the Florida derby for Inter Miami against Orlando at the weekend.
That's some really weird football knowledge.
Yeah, I know. Just, the whole getting the old boys back from Barcelona with Busquets, Jordi Alba, Messi and Suarez.
Ridiculous, isn't it? A word on Luton, because we mentioned them as plucky, obviously, against Aston Villa. Unlucky not to get something out of the game. The double of Crystal Palace and Bournemouth both away, and then play in game week 29 at home to Nottingham Forest. I mentioned I had Bell, but even if he wasn't injured, he'd be on my bench this week. But what's your perspective on Luton? I think if you've got them, hold them, but not necessarily buy them.
Yeah, I think that's the case. The only person I potentially look at is Carlton Morris again, because he's a lump of physical presence. They're good from set pieces. He obviously took very nice finish for his goal against Villa, and he's on pens. But then you're not going to have Solanke and him, because then you're missing out on Watkins, Tony, whoever else you may have, who, even though they're only playing once, could easily outscore Carlton Morris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's a case of looking at the doubles and taking advantage, but don't neglect the single game week players with great fixtures, because they're still great players with great fixtures.
Yeah, exactly. And people have been burnt by that so many times before. So don't put all your eggs in the double basket just because they're there, especially when they're teams that are at the lower end of the table.
Am I crazy this week for considering benching Cole Palmer over Muniz?
Ooh, that is, I don't know. I mean, Wolves away, so Wolves playing at home are a much better prospect than they are travelling away.
Yeah.
And Newcastle do tend to leak goals. I know they obviously kept a clean sheet of the week. I think it's a 50-50. But if you bench him, you know what's going to happen.
That's the thing. No matter which one I bench, the other ones, they're going to get 20 points. And the one
Is there no one else you can bench instead and play both of them? Haaland?
The other option for benching is Foden or Son, neither of whom I'm going to bench. Like
No.
Foden against Liverpool, especially not. Like,
Yeah, you can't, because as we've always said, you can't bench someone when they're playing your own team because it
you know
will
what? I
haunt
will be
you.
delighted if Phil Foden gets 2 points and Haaland gets 2 points.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm fine taking that one on the chin. So look, my team for next week, as it stands, is Neto in goal with the double, then Gabriel and White, and Sensei in defence, but I'll probably move him sideways for another Bournemouth defender, probably Kirkes or someone. Then it's across the middle, Foden, Palmer, Saka, Son, and Bowen. And then up top, Haaland, and with the captain's armband, Solanke. On my bench, it's Muniz, Trippier, and Bell. I'm probably going to just use my one transfer, moving Sensei sideways to someone that's definitely going to start both games. How are you lining up for the week?
As things stand, Areola in goal, because David Raya can't play against his parent club. Trippier, Gabriel, and Reguilon at the back. Palmer, Foden, De Bruyne, and Saka across the middle. Haaland, Tony, and Watkins up top. Like I say, Solanke's going to be coming in for Tony, I would imagine. Bench Raya is on that first bench spot, and then I've got Dawson, Garnacho, and Kabore. All three of which could realistically get a starting spot this week. Kabore probably less so, but just because he's got the double, and he actually played 90 minutes at the weekend
but he's not first choice
for the first time in a long time. Garnacho, Everton at home, could easily see him get sat there. Dawson, Fulham, could he come in over Reguilon potentially?
I prefer Garnacho to Dawson as an option.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm bringing Garnacho in, I've got to drop one of the midfielders or attackers, whereas Fulham, as Dawson can come in for Reguilon. Potentially, I don't know. But yeah, I've still got to make my 2 transfers. So we'll see. Could even take a -4. You never know if I'm feeling fruity. But I think Trippier's going to come out. I think Tony's going to come out. It's just whether I decide to move De Bruyne on as well. But I think I'm going to hold him.
I would just hold, especially as you're going to free hit them, probably wildcard. I don't think there's much point in taking a -4.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you there.
Awesome. Well, another news, how's our joint team getting along?
Well, we wildcarded early last week.
Don't remember wildcard. Okay, excellent.
And then instead of going back to it at the end of the week, we just left it. So
excellent.
I'm just going to log in. Right. 39 so far.
Ooh. Ouch.
Kelleher in goal with 9. We've still got 3 to play. We've got Saka, Kivior, and Gabriel all to play. We had Reguilon with 4, Maddison with 5, Salah we left in. So we're going to get a big 1 point from Pedro Neto coming off the bench, which is really annoying because our second sub is Kirkes, who got 6. Palmer's in there, and then Solanke, Tony, and Haaland with the armband up front. So we'll figure out what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, we can figure that out maybe later in the week.
When we probably will just leave it.
Yeah, we'll
in fact, I'll set our team now. So let's maybe not start Kelleher and put Neto in goal.
Yeah, let's maybe captain Solanke.
Put the armband on Solanke. Kirkes can come in for Kivior. No, for Reguilon. That'll do for now.
Yeah, and we can figure it out maybe on Friday or something. Cool. Well, other than that, everyone go and have a good week. Enjoy yourself. Remember, you've got European fixtures midweek, so hold off transfers if and when you're making them. But otherwise, you can find us on Twitter at @BigAtTheBack.
Yeah, and I'm at Higgins92. Tom is at TomMadden92. And like I said, remember those European fixtures. It's going to be good to see Thursday night. You've got Liverpool in the early slot and West Ham in the late slot. So it's the big at the back night.
It's going to be fun. Right, everyone, have a great week and speak to you all soon.
See you later.